If I told you there was a manga released about Ubuntu from the late 2000s to the early 2010s, would you believe me? Well, you should, because that's what this video is about, and it probably said so in the title and the thumbnail. Ubuntu. I've known about this for quite a while now. What I didn't know, however, is that all 15 of the main chapters have now been translated into English. I believe there are 3 additional special chapters which have not been translated, so if somebody wants to do that, let me know. I'll sort something out. This was written by Hiroshi Seo, who doesn't appear to have any other notable publications. There's probably some one-shots out there and things like that, but I've not been able to find them, and was originally published in Weekly ASCII before moving over to Ubuntu Magazine Japan. And today, we are going to talk about the first 5 of the 15 chapters, because I feel like each of the 5 chapters work as a pretty good stopping point, and a lot of these chapters are actually pretty dense in what they are talking about with Linux and with Ubuntu. And I do love the tagline, the world's first Ubuntu romantic school comedy, and I believe to this day, probably still the only one. If you happen to know of another one, please let me know. Anyway, chapter 1 is titled, Ubuntu Has Come Along. And the story opens with our 3 main characters arguing over which operating system should go on the new computer of the sysadmin club. We have Lisa. She is a Mac user. She has basically no skin in the game, and she recommends Ubuntu, which is a cute way to say Ubuntu, and throughout the rest of the story, everybody is just gonna say Ubuntu. There's occasionally gonna be like a little note saying, hey, it's not actually Ubuntu, it's Ubuntu. No one in the story actually cares, and chu is like a cute way to say kiss. So it's like, haha, school romantic comedy, you get the joke. We have Akane. She is the president of the sysadmin club. She is a Unix evangelist, thinks desktops are stupid. All she wants to do is manage servers, and at this time is a Slackware user. We also have Masato. He is the vice president. He is a Windows evangelist, thinks Linux is stupid because codecs, YouTube doesn't work, all of this good stuff, and at this time, Windows XP. Now, Lisa just wants her friends to stop fighting and gets a little bit too caught in the middle of it. After that went down, Masato agrees, okay, it's not that big of a deal. We can try out this Ubuntu. If it's not good, hey, we'll just install something different. At this time, Akane, she knows about Ubuntu. She doesn't care about it. Like, she's gonna go do her server stuff over here. But when she hears about installing a distro, she gets very interested. Installing a distro, that's such a crazy difficult thing to do. You need to understand all of this Linux magic to make this possible. Turns out, though, Ubuntu is pretty easy, and it's just next, 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 and you're done. And Akane expects all of these problems to happen. Well, what about networking? Surely networking's not easy. What about what about installing packages? Well, there's a GUI package manager. What about codecs? They're just all there as well. None of these things that she thought she had to do with Linux, because she comes from that, like, Slackware-y, server-y background, none of this stuff matters anymore. And it's still not a thing, but she respects the fact that Ubuntu has made Linux much easier for just the regular user. Then Masato decides, hey, let's start a fight about the command line. Command lines are stupid. They're a relic of the old world. And of course, Akane completely disagrees and thinks this GUI package manager is just, it's overcomplicating the system. We don't need it here. Just, do everything from the terminal. Masato, though, he also has a problem here. He can't play his games on Linux. Now, keep in mind, this is released in like 2008, 2009. The solution proposed here is obviously Wine, but Wine at this time is not like Proton today. Wine is gonna get you somewhere, and, maybe your games are gonna work, but it's not gonna be a straightforward process like now. And then we have our first problem. They leant on the keyboard, and something broke. Immediately, Akane has the base take, blaming GNOME for the problem, but Lisa realizes there's something called advanced desktop settings, and maybe something here went wrong. Maybe there's an effect they enabled. They disabled the setting, and hey, things are back to normal. It looked like a big disaster, it looked like everything was ruined, but it was just a tiny little setting that could easily be fixed. And by the end of the chapter, even though Masato is still very much a Windows guy, Akane is still very much in favor of the server side, isn't a big fan of desktops. They're all willing to try out this Ubuntu thing and just see where it goes. They're just all willing to learn something new together. Moving on to Chapter 2, CLI with Gnomes. Lisa grabs a CD from a teacher and heads on her way to the club, now rocking an Ubuntu hairpin. And she thinks, you know, everyone was happy last time, everything's gonna be good now. Immediately though, Akane and Masato are fighting about Windows and Linux. Akane really wants Masato to learn about the CLI. That's just not gonna happen though, and Lisa says, hey, I want to learn to be an Ubuntu guru. How about you teach me? Teach me the clay. And of course, Akane is more than willing to do so, and we immediately go into a lecture of what the CLI is, what the CLI can do, and how it exists on various different systems. And the first question that Lisa has is, what is a command? This is where we get into a recurring joke of Lisa having a dumb metaphor that nobody else understands. The way she explains a command and a program is little gnomes in your system running around doing things, working together and, I don't know, making your system all operate. And a way to link these gnomes together is through the use of a pipe, which leads her to be confused about what if the pipe gets clogged up, and fixes the metaphor by saying, oh, the pipe is going between floors. Akane doesn't understand the metaphor, but hey, if Lisa gets it, that's totally fine. But Masato is not convinced about the CLI. Well, the reason he's not convinced is he slept through the entire lecture and now just wants to become an anime villain and start some more arguments. That's when Lisa remembers that she had this CD containing some data that she was supposed to do something with. What she had to do is take these surveys and then organize them into a single file. And this is where you can count on Akane to bring out the CLI magic, going crazy, fixing everything in an instant. And then Akane apologizes. You don't need to learn the CLI, it's not a requirement. However, you should still do so because it is fun. And you know what? Even Masato is a little bit on board at this point, even if it's just because of Akane smiling. But that doesn't mean it's going to be the end of him causing problems. On to Chapter 3, time for the forums to debut. And upon upgrading to 8.10, X11's dead. It won't work. It's cooked. And of course, Masato decides to take a shot at Akane about this. I'm a Windows professional. I have amazing Windows troubleshooting skills. I can fix any Windows problem. Aren't you a Linux professional? You boast so much about Linux. Why can't you fix Linux? Leading to another fight because desktops and display servers are not her thing. She's mainly focused on the server side. But whilst they were fighting, Lisa came up with a solution. Let's go to the forum and the IRC channel and see what other people say. See if we can find a solution there. Akane, though, she's not a fan of this idea. She doesn't want to use a forum. First off, by sort of coping about the fact that a lot of people are using Linux nowadays, there's going to be a lot of people asking newbie questions. They just don't want to deal with us. Masato, he knows the truth though. He knows that she's really afraid of forums. This leads to what is probably the only fan servicey scene in the entire series, which of course everybody comments on. Masato then, just being Masato, decides to write up the forum post, and it is basically just Reddit garbage. Ubuntu pwned. Okay, so like this morning, Ubuntu won't work. I tried everything and nothing works. So frustrated. Ubuntu isn't ready for prime time, so tell me what I'm doing wrong. Don't be shy. Major noob here. Ruffle. Just being as annoying as possible. Akane hits him on the head, because he kind of deserved it. So Akane rewrites the post into something much smaller and something probably much more useful, but still missing important details, and is still not ready to post it. What if there's a SQL injection on the site? What if there's malware? Can't we just, like, Google the problem? Just RTFM? Just work out the problem ourselves? Well, it turns out the reason why she's like this is when she was new to Unix, she accidentally started a flame war trying to ask a newbie question, and since then, just doesn't want to deal with forums anymore. And from then on, just tried to solve all of her own problems, reading websites and wikis and RTFM, all that good stuff. And, you know, just a lot of people are like this, right? There's a lot of people who just don't really feel comfortable posting in forums because they feel like people are just going to sort of make fun of them for whatever question they ask. This is a real problem that people have. Well, after Akane left the club, Turns out that Masato had actually gone and made the post for her, rewrote it, added a bunch of extra details, not trolley details, like actual real important details, and Akane then saw the replies. Turns out that this was actually a common bug. Turns out a lot of people were having the exact same issue, and nobody had bothered to report it yet. And the message of this chapter is collaboration. Be collaborative, help people out, and they'll help you out. Whilst that's a good thing to say, she still wasn't happy about the post being made without telling her. Moving on to chapter 4, The Three Bunnies. In this chapter, Akane is channeling the spirit of Richard Stallman to talk about software licenses. Lisa is paying very close attention, this is very important to her, but Akane admits, okay, I'm not actually this extreme about licenses. Richard Stallman might be, but, you know, that was just a joke. And Akane continues her lecture on free and open source software licenses like the GPL, like BSD, MIT, and Creative Commons, and other similar licenses. And the message taken from this is that free licenses are going to make everyone happy. With that, Lisa has something to show the rest of the club. She's been working on a short story and some illustrations with it. The Three Rabbits, or The Three Bunnies. I don't know why there's different names between the chapter title and this. Either way, that's what she's been working on. Everyone loves it, and she's been wanting to submit it to a contest, but she almost fell to the dark side and was going to make it a proprietary license. Instead, she'll release it under Creative Commons, a free license. Akane, though, says you don't have to do that. It's okay. It's like not inherently bad to not make everything under a free license. Masato, though, takes this as a chance to say, free licenses, they're asinine. They're stupid. You know, I'm a big YouTuber. I don't care about licenses. I just take things that are out there and, you know, this is all like a legal gray area. It's free culture. You don't have to actually care about this stuff. That's not the idea that Akane was trying to give her. But Lisa doesn't really get what's going on here. She's not happy about being told that she shouldn't use a free license, and just runs out of the club. Masato and Akane are still sitting around the club trying to work out, you know, how to best explain this to her, and then they realize what was actually in her art. It wasn't just three rabbits, there was a jackalope. The jackalope being the mascot for the current Ubuntu version at the time, 9.04 Jaunty Jackalope. When Akane gets home, Masato sends her a message saying that, hey, this story's been posted. She thinks that Masato's the one that did it, but it was actually Lisa. When she looks at the comments, she realizes what this was. This wasn't just a piece of art she was working on. She wanted to make a fanfiction for this new release of Ubuntu to make everybody in the Ubuntu community happy. Now that everybody's on board, hey, it's time to make an English translation so the entire world can see it. Now we move on to the final chapter for today, Chapter 5, Big Sister Arrives. This is the introduction of our first new recurring character, Akiha. This is Akane's older sister, and the president of the Computer Science Club. Akane raised the issue of what operating system should go on the school's notebooks for the study at home program. Akiha thinks Windows is the only option, and this is literally a non-issue. We are not going to use a toy operating system like Ubuntu. Akiha and Akane have never really gotten along that well. She is the arch nemesis of the sysadmin club, and Akane is convinced that if she gives a presentation on the merits of Ubuntu, she can convince Akiha to change her mind. But Akane is not the one to give the presentation. Instead, it's Adisa. Adisa has now been using Linux for quite a long time and feels quite a bit more comfortable to talk about the operating system. And most importantly, everybody in the school loves her because she's cute. And she even goes and puts on a lab coat to emulate Akane. She gives a presentation and, of course, decides to bring the gnome metaphor with her. A metaphor that nobody else really understands what she's saying or why she's saying it. But she's the one saying it, so they all just not long agreeing. That is, except for Akiha, who struggles to get over the fact that she now has to disagree with Lisa, but she still can't agree with Linux. Everything she's saying is fine, but it's also the baseline for a modern operating system. Akiha wants to know, what is it that sells Ubuntu? What is the value add? And that kind of stumps Lisa. She doesn't really know how to answer that. However, she does have a CD that might be able to do so. This CD includes the Ubuntu Ichinomiya High School Remix. It is a flavor based on Ubuntu. It has been pre-configured for all of the school's needs, with all the school software on it, pre-configured for everything you need there, and of course, comes with a theme crafted by Disa. Everybody loves that. Everybody loves the idea of an operating system that they can modify and they can control. It's not just something provided to them, and everyone here is a member of either the sysadmin club or the computer science club, so this is really exciting to them. That is, except for Akiha. This is a discussion over what is going to be preloaded on the students' notebooks. We're not talking about Ubuntu here. Get that out of here. It doesn't matter what's on that CD. However, she is willing to compromise. She is willing to accept the fact that we can include this, and if people want to install it, they can do that. But it won't be pre-installed. Now, most of the chapters end with this cute little additional art, and this one has Akiha wanting a version of Disa's theme for Windows. Akane obviously mocking her. Is it even possible to do that to Windows? So that's going to be it for the first 5 of the chapters. If you enjoyed this, if you want to see more of it, I'm more than happy to make more of this. I love this series. I've already read it once over, but going back through and just like overanalyzing every little thing that happens, I am more than happy to do so. And if you want to go check it out for yourself, you can find all 15 chapters over on Manga Decks. There are other sites that have like some chapters here and there, but that is going to be the best place to find them. So, if you enjoyed this, go like the video, go subscribe. I love to be able to introduce some weeb shit into this channel on the rare occasions I can do so. So, thank you for letting this happen. If you really liked the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon, subscribe to Daily Bearer Pay, linked in the description down below. That's going to be it for me, and go install Ubuntu.